What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Hermens Outdoors. In this video, we are exploring Oregon, the beaver state. I personally like to call it the duck state, but that's a story for another video. Oregon has a diverse landscape with miles of beaches along the Pacific Ocean, the ranch lands and desert in the east, the fertile Willamette Valley with acres of farmlands and winemaking, and the Cascade Mountain Range. And yes, most people are not prepared for the big earthquake that's coming. For those seeking adventure in the outdoors, Oregon has a little of everything. It's probably one of the reasons the state continues to grow in population, but probably not the leading factor. I love Oregon. It's my home state, and I've only explored a portion of what it has to offer. But I love the outdoors and all the different outdoor activities, and I'm going to continue to explore the state and share my adventures. So for all you outdoor enthusiasts, those vacationing or thinking about moving to Oregon and looking for outdoor activities, then you need to watch my top 10 Oregon outdoor activities. Number 10. River rafting. Oregon has some of the best rivers for rafting in the country. From southern Oregon to central Oregon, rafting down Oregon's scenic rivers can be calming, but it can also be a huge adrenaline rush. Rafting down the rivers across Oregon, the history of the fishing, the timber industry, and taking the paths of Lewis and Clark can bring a history lesson along with some of the best views anywhere. Oregon rivers were a big part of the Oregon Trail expedition and where the groups of people built towns across Oregon as the state started to grow in the 1800s. If rafting for the first time, I'd recommend going on a guided trip with friends, either a 3 to 4 person trip. Rafting down the rivers of southern Oregon, going over those class 3 and 4 rapids bring excitement and a new view and perspective of Oregon's scenic rivers. Some of my favorites are the Rogue, North Umpqua, Upper Kalama, Deschutes, Snake River, and the Clackamas, which boast some of the best class 3 and 4 rapids. And that's why I would recommend going with a guide. As a first-time rafter, it's best to go with a group to learn the basics of rafting, but also all the safety protocol on how to navigate the waters best. Just remember to bring a life jacket and plenty of snacks. My favorite is beef jerky. Number 9. Fruit picking. Oregon boasts some of the best fruit, including strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, and plenty of apples and peaches. I personally love going to U-Pick, local small farms, and picking fresh Oregon fruits on the weekend. When I was a kid, I would eat and pick green strawberries in my parents' garden and at U-Pick farms. They would yell at me, "Hey, shaking the bush, boss," which was a nod to my mom's favorite movie, Cool Hand Luke. And I'd be laughing the entire time while picking these green strawberries. And yes, I ate them too. I had problems as a child, don't judge me. When fruits like strawberries are in season, you can travel to Hood River and go pick at local farms all summer long. It's a tradition for some families to go pick berries, apples, peaches, and make batches of jam, jellies, freeze the berries for smoothies, make a new barbecue sauce like my wife's secret sauce, or make one of my favorites, strawberry pie. I could probably eat an entire pie in one sitting right now. And berry picking is a great activity with the kids as well. Get them out there in the orchards, picking berries or fruit with you. Make it a day and reward yourself with some fresh berry dessert at the end of the day. Yum! Number 8. Crabbing. Off the Oregon coast, you can catch fresh Dungeness crab from a boat or off the dock. Oregon Fish and Wildlife estimated in 2014 that crabbing brings over $50 million into the Oregon economy every year, and that number has likely risen since. Crabbing is an easy activity to get into, especially at places like Kelly's Brighton Marina along Highway 101 on the North Oregon coast. Not only can you rent a boat for a few hours and crab out in the bay, I highly recommend if you have a party of 4 to go out with a boat, but you can also crab from the docks. At $15 per pot or trap, you can rent gear all day and catch, in my opinion, some of the best tasting crab out there. Places like Kelly's also have an overnight camping area, so if you're looking for a crabbing camping trip for the weekend, you can do both. Crabbing is a great activity in early fall, mostly September and October, and my favorite part is cleaning and eating the crab with fresh garlic butter and a glass of wine at home. If you haven't checked out the video yet, I have a top 10 Oregon Coast crabbing tips video on the channel. Before you head out there crabbing, go check it out. So get out there and catch some crabs. Haha. And just remember, make sure to use the right measurement. In Oregon, it's 5 3/4. Number 7, walking the beach. Oregon has 363 miles of coastland and beaches running up and down the west coast from the Pacific Ocean. There's so many little towns along the Oregon coast, but taking a day trip vacation or just passing through, you have to walk the beaches, especially in the summer. Every Oregon beach can be different. From Gearhart, where the beaches have some of the best sand dollars on the planet, to the beaches down south at Bandon, where Oregon has some of the best golf courses around, to my favorite, Rockaway Beach. When I was a kid, my family would travel down to Rockaway on weekends as my parents were looking to buy a vacation home. Every time we would visit the Oregon coast, we would head down to the beach and walk for miles. My dad and I would see how many crazy stones and fishing gear we could find on our walk that's washed up on the beach, and we found some amazing stuff. But if you're the romantic type, a walk on the beach is your thing. Just don't jump into the water, it's really cold. And bring a jacket, the winds can be crazy. And for all those that put down, "I like long walks on the beach," in their profiles on whatever dating app you're using, Oregon has a bunch of beaches for those walks on the beach. Just watch out for the seagulls, they might poop on you from time to time. Don't ask me how I know. Number 6, walking in vineyards. The state of Oregon has more than 700 wineries and over 33,000 acres of vineyards across the state, most of which sits in the Willamette Valley. Back in the 1980s and 1990s, winemakers found the fertile soil in the Willamette Valley great for winemaking, and the industry exploded in the late 90s and early 2000s, to now being an $800 million industry in 2016, and probably over $1 billion today. There's plenty of books, maps, interactive websites with all the wineries in Oregon, and even a biking tour where you can go bike and visit wineries across the Willamette Valley in eastern Oregon. But I find going to wineries and walking around is one of my favorite outdoor activities. Walking through the vineyards, hearing the history from the winemakers themselves about the label, how they got started, and how they grow grapes is fascinating. And the world-class views from the tasting room or out in the vineyards themselves are worth it. I love when wineries will give tours and let you walk around the vineyards. It's a great way to get out, enjoy a glass of wine, and even plan a date with your significant other. Just remember to pour and drink responsibly. And if you ever need a place to stop over and relax after a day of wine tasting and walking around the vineyards, go to the Allison Inn and Spa in Newburgh. Get yourself a foot massage, hit the hot tub, and finish the evening with a fine glass of Oregon Pinot Noir. Cheers. Number 5, hiking Oregon parks. Oregon has over 250 parks in the state, serving nearly 50 million people a year, which ranks 4th in the U.S., and nearly 3 million campers a year, which puts it in the top 10. In reality, you could visit and go to every state park in Oregon in 1 year. I'd love to know if somebody's actually done it. No, seriously. That's a lot. Anyhow, when I was growing up in Oregon, my parents would always make sure as a family we went out on outings to parks whenever we traveled to go on hiking trails. Although I hated the hiking, especially when I'd get cobwebs in my faces. Thanks a lot, Dad. I would look back on those family hikes and really miss them. The views, seeing deer or elk in the forest or out grazing in the open. My curiosity for nature always came out on those hikes. I probably only liked them as a kid, probably for the snacks. But now hiking in Oregon parks, I see the different views and memories of places I've been. And with parks spread out across Oregon, you could be at Cape Lookout looking out a lighthouse at the waves crashing into the beach, to hiking up Mount Hood and looking for miles out on a bright summer day. Any way you choose, hiking is a great outdoor adventure. Just remember to bring extra band-aids for blisters on your feet. Again, don't ask me how I know. Number 4, biking. Oregonians love bikes and biking. With over 6% of Oregonians commuting to work via biking in 2017, Portland has invested a significant amount of dollars in bikeways across the city. It now has 385 miles of bikeways across the city. And in every neighborhood in Portland, there seems to be a bike shop. Mountain, gravel, and fat tire biking, Oregon boasts many biking routes across the state from the Oregon coast to the Willamette Valley, and a winery biking tour. But if you're looking for a biking tour ride, check out the Crooked River Scenic Byway. The views and biking are world class, with plenty of places to pull over and stop to soak in the views and take some amazing pictures during the summer and late fall. I highly recommend it. Southern and Eastern Oregon have, in my opinion, some of the best biking scenic routes in the country. But if you're not into a scenic tour, Cycle Oregon has a ton of races and destinations for bikers of all ages and experience levels. So get out there and bike, but just remember, always wear a helmet. Safety first. Number 3, camping. Definitely the one thing my wife will not do. Camp and not be able to take a shower for days. Looks like I'm going to have to go solo on the next trip and rough it. Which reminds me of the time I didn't shower for 7 straight days in Alaska. Now that's a whole nother story for another video. Camping brings in $1 billion to the Oregon economy, and the state has 361 state parks. Oregon is unique where you can camp on the sandy beaches inside a state forest park, next to fishing, lakes, ponds, and rivers. Just make sure to avoid the bears. And on prairies in southern Oregon. Everyone has their own version of how they would camp, and I like to rough it more than most people. My favorite part of camping is breakfast. I usually make pre-made breakfast burritos with eggs, sausage, and potatoes wrapped up in a tortilla and foil. Just heat them up over the campfire, and with a cup of coffee, get you going in the morning. I think camping is a great introduction for kids into the outdoors. The flexibility to travel to so many different locations, engage in activities like fishing, frisbee golf, biking, hiking are great ways to enjoy those long summer days in Oregon. Just remember to bring bug spray, a fire extinguisher, and extra water. A 15-year-old kid in 2017 started a 50-acre fire in the Oregon Gorge by shooting off illegal fireworks, causing many campgrounds and hiking trails to be closed. When you're out camping, don't do stupid things. Keep your fireworks out of the woods and enjoy what nature has to offer. Number 2, winter sports, skiing and snowboarding. The Cascade Mountain Range in Oregon has some of the best winter sports skiing and snowboarding anywhere. In 2013, estimates put winter sports contributions to the local economy near $500 million. With Mount Hood less than an hour outside of Portland, once the first snow starts in November, people flock to the mountain to get up and hit the slopes. Mount Hood Meadows and Ski Bowl are some of the best near Portland. And if you go to Central Oregon, Mount Bachelor and Bend is the place to hit the mountain. With all the local breweries open late, you can hit the slopes all day and enjoy a beverage in the evening. Now, I've only snowboarded twice as a kid, and I skied once in college. An ex-girlfriend of mine was a huge skier, and I wanted to take up an interest in skiing so we could go together. You know, enjoy an activity with your significant other. Only, she got mad at me because I was encroaching on one of her favorite activities, and she didn't want me to ski with her at all. Hey, I thought I was taking an interest would be a good thing. Well, I was wrong, and about 3 weeks after that, we weren't together anymore, and I haven't gone skiing since. These days, I prefer sledding with my red flyer and racing kids down sledding hills. Catch me if you can. And number 1, fishing. Both commercial and recreational fishing bring in millions of dollars into the Oregon economy. Trout fishing was one of the first outdoor activities my dad got me into during summer vacations when I wasn't crushing it on the baseball field. Those days fishing the bank with Grandpa or catching trout out of the gully wumper, his boat, got me hooked into fishing. I would consider fishing in Oregon one of the best out there. I don't know of a location where you can fish for salmon, steelhead, trout, sturgeon, shad, catfish, walleye, coho, halibut, bass, tuna, and pike minnow. I wouldn't call it world class, but the salmon and steelhead runs have been really crushed by the sea lions and gill netters lately on the Columbia River. And the fight continues to improve those fisheries, but the fact that you can fish for over a dozen different species, that is amazing. There's always a fishery open throughout the year, and I feel that fishing is a great outdoor activity and sport to get anyone in. The first time I went to Alaska, I got my wife into sockeye salmon fishing, and after she hooked and landed her first salmon, we've gone back every single year, and now she's getting into trout fishing and Oregon Chinook fishing as well. Between access to fishing locations, the trout stocking program in Oregon to give anglers and kids the best fishing year-round, and the ease of getting into fishing, I'm making this my number 1 outdoor activity in Oregon. From the coast to the east side of Oregon, there are so many rivers, lakes, and streams to go explore and catch a fish or two. Just remember to always lie about that size of the fish, that one that got away. And that's my top 10 Oregon outdoor activities. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Hope y'all learned something about Oregon and use this information to get out there and enjoy the outdoors. And don't be shy from the outdoors even if it's raining. I'll be out there chasing salmon, hiking, crabbing, wine tasting in the vineyards no matter the weather. And as always, guys, the outdoors is a gift. Share it with others.